What's going on, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the LLP. We're previewing the United States of America. Yeah, instead of full, not just the USA, but again, that is what they are. We're previewing them today in the World Juniors. They are looking to get a lot of damage done, and they usually are, man. They're always in it, and it proves no different this year. There's a lot of talent on the team, as always. They're one of the surefire talents that you can kind of pin off, maybe and most likely getting a medal. But we're going to talk about that here today. We're going to predict if they are going to get a medal, and we're going to talk about the guys who might be helping them on their way. Again, I am Aaron Russo, Evan Davis, Jared Rotenberg, and Adana Ramoli. If you're here, well, you're tuning into the LLP, so I thank you guys for that. Search around while you're here. There's a lot of episodes, there's a lot of videos. Leafs, if you're a Leafs fan, NHL talk. We were talking Hart Trophy, Rookie of the Year, a lot of stuff last week as well. So a lot of stuff that you can tune into. And Dynasty Sports Network, DSN. You can see it on your screen. Type it into your web browser. You'll find it right away. There's a lot of content there, and social media, Twitter, Instagram, all that jazz. You'll find DSN there. Lots of content. You even see this kind of stuff here. So yeah, tune into DSN. Stick around the LLP, and you can stick around here because we're getting to the USA right now. This team, well, loaded with talent, loaded with a lot of weapons up front on D and goaltending. That's the biggest question that's sort of outlining this group as we march our way forward into the World Junior Championship. Jared, I was wondering if right off the top, maybe give us a little bit of an insider information on the goaltending situation, what we're expecting to see between the pipes for the USA.
So again, as you mentioned, 100% the biggest question mark for this United States team is their goaltending tandem, because we know about their top prospects on offense and defense, but in net, they have right now their likely starter is a guy by the name of Caden Mabrenko. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. My apologies if so.
Can't get the
But
Americans.
We can't get the American names wrong. I'm kidding.
I don't know. The M and the B back to
Yeah,
back is
fair.
throwing me off a little bit. But regardless, Caden Mabrenko, he's the likely starter in the tournament, and he has some solid numbers in the 4 games he played last summer as the American goaltender. So he is expected to return to the net and likely hope again to make them one of the top teams at the tournament. He's a skilled guy, but again, they don't have any drafted NHL prospects in their goalie tandem, so that could for sure be a question mark overall. As well, they do have a guy by the name of Andrew Oke, who was undrafted in the NHL draft. And lastly, their other draft eligible goaltender is a guy by the name of Trey Augustine, who is a 2023 draft eligible goalie. But in general, none of the goalies on this American team have ever played or been drafted by an NHL team. So there are question marks there because with such a stacked squad in front of them, the question is really going to be, can that last line of defense weather the storm if there's any chance where the players in front of them falter at all and give other teams chances on their goaltending. It's not to say their goalies are bad by any means. I mean, there is a guy he's a returning player and he has played in this tournament before and has had some success. But in general, with no players really that highly touted in terms of the NHL scene, in terms of being drafted and all that, there are definitely some question marks in that sense of whether or not this goaltending will be that one factor that ends up collapsing and leading to the United States falling and faltering in this tournament.
And it's rare that you hear inexperience correlated with the United States. Usually, it's all full of experience. Guys are getting it done all sorts of places all around the world and on the biggest stage to boot. And you're not seeing that between the pipes. That could be something that can spell for trouble for the United States, as you mentioned, Jared. But I'm a little bit more focused on what's ahead of those guys, what's in front of the team, and what can we look out for on the D and on the forward core. There's a lot of talent. Really the defense as well. I'm really interested to see how those guys play. Damo, can you take me into some of the D guys that you got kind of highlighted on this team, and how do you think they're going to produce? I think this is going to be one of the first or second time that we're going to be seeing them at this tournament, and it could be a really good first impression. It could be a much better second impression. These guys have talent, and I think it's going to show on the ice. But like I ask, what do you think?
Yeah, so man, I'd love to just gush about this United States blue line. I guess we'll get the elephant out of the room. Luke Hughes,
Yep.
Captain.
probably the best defenseman in the nation. He's wearing the C.
He's wearing the C.
He's wearing the C. Probably the best defenseman in the nation. He's playing at Michigan this year, 18 points in 20 games. What else needs to be said? This guy was the 4th overall pick to the Devils. No surprise there.
Yeah.
I wonder if there was a connection or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, he's unbelievable. He's unbelievable. He skates like his brothers, which if you know anything about his brothers, he's going to be disgusting. This guy can pass. This guy can shoot. Fantastic defenseman. Guy that I want to highlight, and I think has a shout for best defenseman in the tournament, believe it or not, is the little guy, Lane Hudson.
Yeah, man, it's
So
weird. He's so
Oh,
small, but he's so
it,
good.
he's
It's like
so
it's
good.
a complex that's just
Yeah.
throws me for a loop. But yeah, go into it.
Oh my God. And it just pisses me off because you guys know who he's affiliated with? Second
Yeah,
round pick.
Montreal.
yeah.
He is a Montreal Canadian. Oh,
We're
five
going
foot
to be
eight,
seeing a lot of
148
them.
pounds.
Yeah.
But he's 5'8", guys. He's
5'8" isn't too small. I'm 5'8".
he's
How many pounds did you
148
say?
pounds.
Sorry. So he's 3 more pounds than
148.
me, and I'm a little buck. So, oh
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. But enough about that. He has 7 goals in 16 games as a defenseman for
Wow.
Boston University. He's
Mm-hmm.
18 points.
There's a name.
Man, he's a player. He is a player, and when you're a small defenseman, you can't really rely on, your body because you're not going to be trucking guys. What he's so good at is using his body to his advantage, meaning he's able to slip in like little areas. He's good with his stick. You're able to be a lot more agile when you're tiny. You can get a lot lower to the ground. Hard to knock off the puck because again, when you're smaller, your center of gravity is a lot lower. And that's just kind of something I've noticed like from watching him his highlights is what he uses to his advantage. He's small. He doesn't weigh a lot, but he's still pretty powerful. Moves the puck well. He's just, man, I'm so jealous that the Habs have Lane Hudson.
And not to mention his hockey
Yeah.
IQ is kind of off the charts. And when you're a small player, you kind of have to have that trait with you as well too. I mean, you're never going to outsize anyone throughout his NHL career, which is most definitely going to be a promising one as it looks right now. But you're going to have to work on outsmarting guys, beating him in different areas of the ice. And I think he's slowly starting to piece together those elements that can just let him flourish, both on the national level, the international level, and on the biggest stage in hockey, the NHL. Evan, I want to throw it over to you. Forward core. There's a lot of big names there as well. You can see a lot of different Americans fill in the back of the net. It feels like yesterday where Trevor Zegras was out
Oh my
there
God.
doing a bunch of nifty stuff and kind of blowing our minds. We still see it in the NHL today. Do we get a glimpse of a guy similar to Trevor Zegras and we're seeing some skill and showman on the ice, or is it going to be a lot of hard-nosed productivity, goals, 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 and well, guess what? A little bit more goals as well. So, what are your thoughts on the United States forward core? And is it going to be one of the better ones we've seen in quite some time, or is a little inexperience going to kick in as well?
Uh, I, to answer your first question, I
Yeah.
do think a comparison to Trevor Zegers would be Blues prospect Jimmy Snuggerud, who's at a
Mm-hmm.
University of Minnesota playing on that top line with Logan Cooley. Uh, St. Louis found a gem in him. I mean, I know it's NCAA, but he's really doing well there.
Second
I
in
think,
nation. I'll throw
yeah,
that out there.
I think he could be the U.S.'s Trevor Zegras. When you look at the forward core, inexperience would definitely play a factor. What I would counter with is that a lot of these guys played with each other at the U.S. NTDP,
Yeah.
the National Team Development
Yeah.
Program. So chemistry will never be an issue. And funny enough, 5 players from Michigan are on the USA team. So if there's any chemistry issues, then the coach is the problem. It's definitely not the players. So I would fire the entire GM, the GM staff. Everyone's gone. But no, I mean, they got Logan Cooley and Jimmy Snuggerud. I'd be curious to see if they play on the same line together, just given their amazing connection at the college level.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Rucker, McGroarty, first round pick from Winnipeg. You just have a lot to work with there, and on the back end as well, as we mentioned. But the front end, they have a lot of talent up front. Not as good as Canada, which it sucks, but
Mm-hmm.
they're making their strides, making their strides up there. I would definitely maybe put them as, I mean, this could be a biased opinion. I would put them as the second best team below Canada heading into this World Juniors. I mean, they just have NHL prospects galore. They have a lot to work with. I want to just with the goaltending though. Look, I get like these guys are going undrafted, but I feel like what we saw with Team Canada and Devin Levi, I mean, he did get drafted. Granted, it was also like the 5th pick before the draft was going to end, or maybe even the 3rd pick before the draft was going to end. Not a discredit to him. He had like a 970 save percentage at the World Juniors. I just think when you have a team like this in front of you, the only thing the goalie needs to do is not fall asleep, because the defensive core should be in a position that doesn't cause whoever's in net to really make a highlight reel save, unless it's maybe against a team like Sweden or Canada and maybe even Finland to a lesser degree. But I think goaltending should be the last thing the U.S. is worried about. I think up front it should just be uh, finding ways to utilize your defense in a way that doesn't cost them, because they have a lot of offensively heavy defensemen like Lane Hudson and Luke Hughes and Seamus Casey, maybe to a little lighter degree. I think he's almost had a point per game at Michigan, but
Yeah.
I think they're dressed for success. I hope they make it far. They should make it far. And if they don't snag at least a bronze medal, I think it would be a huge, 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 let me say it one more time, huge disappointment for USA Hockey, because I feel like after a while it's kind of trending back up in the right direction here.
And that's the sort of storyline that I wanted to paint as well. The teams, who is going to take over? Are the Americans going to take over? We're going to see Canada come back with yet another medal in their title defense, and that'll kind of maybe sink the cake for a little bit longer. Jared, do you want to add something about
I
about
just
the
wanted to add
storyline?
something quickly about the goaltending.
Okay.
I mean, to your point, mentioning the comparison with Devin Levi, the only thing I'll say is that was a concern heading into that tournament. Obviously, he weathered the storm and made Canadians everywhere realize, okay, this guy's legit and he's absolutely capable of weathering the storm. But there were, rightfully so, some concerns with the goaltending heading into that tournament, and I think it's the same thing. It's when looking at this United States roster with how stacked they are up front and in terms of defensively, I think rightfully so, there is a little bit of question marks with their goaltending. And until those goalies prove that they're capable of standing up, which I have no doubt they're capable of it, but until they prove that they're capable of weathering that storm, if ever there's chances on their net, I think rightfully so, heading into that tournament, it is one area of concern potentially that could end up faltering for the United States.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to like say that. I wasn't trying to say that like it doesn't matter. I was just making the comparison because like to what you said, Devin Levi had question marks and ended up looking like Patrick Waugh. Maybe that happens for the US. Like they just shouldn't be put in a position to make a Sports Center top 10 save.
Yeah. No, you're completely right. Like that's absolutely a fair point. It could end up turning out the same way that happened.
It could also go the other.
That's more what I'm trying to say. That there's reason for concern until he proves that reason for concern is baloney. Then there is some reason to be a little bit questioning how that goalie tandem will kind of withstand in this tournament.
Now, the one big question that does loom is that they won gold in 2021. Then they follow up this past summer with a big disappointment, like you put Evan, 5th place in the summer tournament as well. It's a weird scale for them because the year before as well, after getting a silver in 2019, they finished 6th place in the tournament. So it's a little bit high and low. So if you're on that kind of trend, I guess you're in the right spot because they had their low finish last year or this last summer. So like that's the thing. Where do we have them predicted? Where are they going to finish?
Yeah, I would just say like just quick to be 20 seconds. I just think the issue with the US is that they have that one year where like everyone's there, but then they all go back to their NHL teams after they realize how phenomenal they were. And then you just have that one year where it's like, and now we're getting back to this year of like, here's a lot of NHL prospects. Where do I have them finishing? I mean, I'm going to hate to say this. I have them finishing 2nd place, losing to Canada in the World Junior Final. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they feed me my lunch. But as we're going to mention later on in future episodes, Canada is like if the 2016 Warriors took steroids and played hockey.
Well, at least you admit it. I'm very happy. If you're new to the East Line podcast, which a lot of you are, Mr. Evan Davis does not like to admit to things, and we're seeing it firsthand here. This is monumental for us, even. So you're taking a little.
Do you want to take a picture?
You might have to take a screenshot on this one, guys, because you don't think I'm ever going to see it again. But I digress. Adam, I'll throw it over to you. Listen, it was always between Canada, US. We've seen them face off a bunch of times in the final, and that's kind of where the new debate keeps on sparking with every new victor. Where you have the U.S. finishing this year? Are we going to see a podium finish, or is it going to be something similar and the trend's going to continue from last year, where it's going to be something along the lines of outside the podium and a lot of disappointing talks shortly following after?
I have them finishing 2nd, and I believe I had Sweden winning last year.
Me and you had Sweden last year.
We had Sweden, and I might have had the States in 2nd. I don't remember.
I think you. I think you might have had Sweden in the U.S.
I think I had the state because I'm usually pretty high on the States. So again, I'm going to have the States coming in 2nd. Did Canada
win last year?
In the summer, yeah, they did.
The summer, that weird little when McTavish saved it. Yeah, but yeah.
I forgot.
I have the States coming. Yeah, they 2 World Juniors. It was weird. But yeah,
It was weird. Yeah.
those states coming in second.
And you would think 2 World Juniors better than 1. No, it doesn't hit like the winter one, man. This is why this one's a lot more special. And we'll find it out firsthand this year in the upcoming days. Jared, last one for you. Predictions. Where do you got the U.S. finishing?
I'm doing the exact same thing these guys are doing. I think we're having revenge of 2021, but I do ultimately think these guys are going to pull it off, and USA in second.
All right. And second to who? Is it the guys on your chest, perhaps? No,
yes,
okay. But that's
second to Latvia.
I guess we'll have to find out, Mr. Romoli. And I guess you viewers at home are have to find out as well. But thank you for tuning in. This is the United States preview episode. This is the Leafs Line podcast. Again, I said off the top, stick around, check it out. It's a lot of different episodes, a lot of NHL talk. You want to see award talk, you want to see Leafs talk. It's all here. Dynasty Sports Network is also a place you might want to go check out some even more content. But again, I'm Mario Russo, Evan Davis, Jared Rotenberg, and Adam Romoli signing off for you on the Americans preview for the World Junior Championship. They got a lot of talent, a lot of different projections, a lot of upside. It's just about them putting the pieces together, which they have done a lot in the past. So a lot. Stick around for the next couple of previews for the World Juniors. That does it for us. Thank you for tuning in.